Well, ladies and gentlemen, can I extend a welcome to you? And I'm joined on the dais by Sir Angus Houston, the Chairman of Air Services Australia, and Margaret Stibe is here as well, who's the CEO of Air Services Australia, and a number of other Air Services officials who will be able to deal with technical questions if you wish to ask them later on. In addition, there's a short video, just less than a minute, that will show you, which will, I think, describe in a more graphic way what we're talking about today. Can I welcome you to this conference today for what is effectively another world-leading announcement in relation to air traffic control. As you will all be aware, it's almost a year since Malaysia's airline's MH370 vanished. This tragedy has prompted global attention on aircraft tracking, and in Australia, in cooperation with Malaysia and Indonesia, we've been considering what we might be able to do by way of a regional response. Today I'm announcing that Australian Air Traffic Control Management, Air Services Australia, along with their counterparts in Malaysia and Indonesia, will take a leadership initiative in global efforts to enhance aircraft flight tracking. In a world first, all three countries will trial a new method of tracking aircraft through the skies over remote oceanic areas. While airlines flying over continental Australia are already tracked in real time by radar or continuous position monitoring, the new minimum tracking interval for remote oceanic areas will be 15 minutes. This improves on the previous tracking rate of 30 to 40 minutes. Further, the new approach that we will trial can increase real-time monitoring should an abnormal situation arise. This trial will initially be undertaken through the Brisbane Air Traffic Services Centre, but if it's successful, and we're sure it will be, it will then extend to Melbourne and our counterparts in Indonesia and Malaysia. Now, this initiative adapts existing technology used by more than 90% of long-haul passenger aircraft and would see air traffic control able to respond more rapidly should an aircraft experience difficulty or an unexpected deviation from its flight plan. Air Services Australia has worked closely with Qantas, Virgin Australia and global satellite provider Inmarsat to successfully develop the operational concepts and the trial for the new use of surveillance technology. Now, this has been done using selective aircraft domestically since the beginning of February, and I want to thank the major airlines for their cooperation in this trial and their support for this leading and collaborative work. There is an international development led by ICAO towards more regular monitoring of aircraft, particularly when travelling over vast oceanic distances. A comprehensive flight tracking system will enable an early identification of an irregularity and ensure that there's a better positional awareness of the position of aircraft flying around the continent. What we are doing is in keeping with some of the ideas that ICAO, the international organisation, is currently discussing, and hopefully our trial will help to lead to a global adoption of these more regular reporting arrangements. I also want to recognise the cooperation from our Malaysian and Indonesian counterparts and for their willingness also to be engaged in this trial. Australia has air traffic management responsibilities for 11% of the globe. A lot of that is ocean, and so we have a particular interest in being able to track effectively and reliably the aircraft moving in our region. Finally, I'd like to thank Sir Angus and the members of the Air Services Australia team for their work and cooperation and initiative in bringing this trial to fruition. I think that it does offer a significant step forward in assuring the public about the safety of international air travel, especially over long oceanic routes. And it gives us the opportunity to reassert that global aviation is a very, very safe way of travelling, but regulators are always looking for new ways to make it even safer. Sir Angus, can I invite you now to make a couple of comments, and perhaps particularly in relation to the technical aspects of this, and then we'll invite some questions.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. Well, I'd start by saying all of us have been very saddened by the loss of life with aviation accidents in recent time, and I think the MH370 circumstances is something that have touched us all in a very personal way. As the Deputy Prime Minister announced, we'll be undertaking a trial of improved tracking of aircraft as recommended by the International Civil Aviation Organisation. I might add their recommendation is that each aircraft should be reporting every 15 minutes. So this is very consistent with where they want the world long-haul airlines to go. It's also important to recognise that this is not a silver bullet, but it is an important step in delivering immediate improvements to the way we currently track aircraft, while more comprehensive solutions are developed. I'm very pleased that Air Services is at the forefront of delivering changes in this important area. This trial will now track aircraft, as I've already said, once every 15 minutes through existing technology fitted to 90% of long-haul aircraft. Now that's wide-bodied aircraft from 747-400 forward. So it includes 380s, 777s, 330s, 340s, 350s. The wide-bodied aircraft that do the long-haul work. And the equipment that they carry, which enables them to be part of this, is what is called FANS, or Future Air Navigation Systems. And fundamentally, it's a package of navigation and communications systems that enables them to meet all of the requirements of this new tracking initiative. The technology we are using is Automatic Dependent Surveillance Contract, or ADS-C. I might add at this point, that's completely different from ADS-B, which is a completely discrete and different system. And ADS-C transmits the aircraft's current position and the next two planned positions. And at the moment, aircraft are currently reporting this information only every 30 to 40 minutes. The increase in frequency in which aircraft will automatically report this information allows our air traffic controllers to track the aircraft position and its predicted next position with much greater accuracy. This increased contract will ensure that air traffic control has more accurate and timely information about flights in oceanic areas where we are unable to track aircraft using traditional radar that relies on ground-based sites. This information will also allow controllers to observe and react to any unusual behaviour. Now, what that means in terms of the benchmarks for that, if the aircraft deviates more than plus or minus 200 feet from its assigned level, or it ends up plus or minus 2 nautical miles from its expected track, the system will automatically start looking at it on a more regular basis, maybe every 5 minutes, or if there's real concern, look at it almost continuously. So this is a big step forward. It's not just changing things. It is going to make, I think, the monitoring of aircraft over these oceanic areas much more effective. And as a consequence of that, if there were to be some sort of a problem, we're going to have a much better idea of where to start the search and rescue operation. In other words, we'll have a datum very close to where the aircraft ran into trouble, which of course is in marked contrast to MH370, where the last known position was in the Malacca Straits.